Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Battle Bites here in World of Tanks, and today we're going to discuss the Monster Hunter Ops. They are here, and this is our opportunity to earn one of three different premium tanks. They're basically all tanks that are in the game to some degree, and they're kind of reskinned with some kind of monster theme for the Halloween season. So what I'm going to do today is kind of make this a one-stop shop for everything related to these operations. I'll quickly go through what the operation is, what you need to do in order to complete it. Then we'll talk about what you get at the end of it. We'll do a quick kind of review of the three tanks and their strengths and weaknesses and things that might make you pick one over the other, because you can only earn one. You have to pick at the end of the operation, and you cannot undo your decision, and you're stuck with the one you get. Now, of course, you can purchase these tanks as well, but if you go that route, then you don't need this review. Also, we're going to discuss some tips on how you can improve your performance and how you can earn these tanks in the most efficient way possible. And I'll also try to put a little estimate together based on your performance, your statistics. You can estimate how many games and how much time it will take for you to complete the mission and earn one of these tanks. So first things first, this is the Monster Hunter operation, and you can see that this operation requires 190 total points to complete. There are 5 stages, and yes, this again goes to points, but this time how you earn points, as opposed to some of the earlier premium tank operations, it is solely based on destroyed enemies in a battle. There is no requirement for a win in the battle. So that's great. That's the good news, because winning and getting a kill in a battle, to me, it's the worst, most frustrating type of operation to complete. So this is at least a little better than that. You can lose, and as long as you get one kill, you'll still make progress in your mission, and you cannot lose points, which is also a nice little benefit compared to, I think it was the CDC operation, where you could lose points if you either lost or didn't perform well. But the one kind of trick here, as you can see on the screen, how you earn points is if you get anywhere between 1 and 3 kills in the battle, you earn 1 point. If you get between 4 and 5, you'll earn 3. And if you have a top gun performance, 6 kills or more, then you'll earn 5 points. So keep that in mind as you're working your way through the battle. I know a lot of the environment is going to be a bit toxic with kill stealing. That's kind of, whenever one of these big operations comes up and it's all based on kills, you see it in battle. You see people kind of holding their shot. I've seen it already in the first day or so of this. There's a tank, it's in the open, it's near the end of the battle, you know your team's gonna win, and the tank is at 75% health, and I shoot at it once, it drops to 50% health, nothing from the rest of my allies. I shoot it again, it drops to 25% health, and then all of a sudden a hail of shells from all my teammates come firing in at the last second, trying to claim the kill. Now, that's part of what's going to happen here. You have to expect it, but let's see if we can rise above that a little bit and at least be cognizant of where you are. If you have 1 kill and there's 2 tanks left at the end of the battle, think about not worrying about trying to get that second kill, because it's not going to do anything for your completion here. Think about, hey, take those first couple shots, get the damage on that tank, improve your own performance, your own WN8 and damage standing and all that stuff. But don't worry about getting that kill, because it's not going to do anything for you. And there might be somebody else on your team there who's got 0 kills and is really trying to get a point out of the battle. Obviously, I'm not recommending you do anything against your own self-interest. Don't hurt yourself or your score, but just keep that in mind. If you're at 1 and you're not going to get to 4, then there is no benefit for you getting 2 or 3 as opposed to 1. So I'll put that out there. Maybe you can make somebody's day. Maybe, this can be an event that ties people a little bit closer together rather than drives them apart. So how is the mission broken down? Again, you can see once you complete the 5th of the chain in the operation, you'll have to make your choice. You'll have to pick one of the 3 final hunter operations, and that will reward you with your tank, and then you are stuck with that choice. So don't mess that part up. If you know which one you want, make sure you pick the right one. In terms of how you, there's always a second chain of operations that kind of run in parallel to the ones that earn the tank, and they're ones that have additional rewards like some free XP or premium time. They usually end with 1,000 gold, and in one or two of the earlier free tank operation chains, you were able to try and earn that 1,000 gold. If you could earn the tank and then the last little bit of time left kind of surmount some great obstacle, you would be able to do that. But they have made clear here that this time the Monster Unleashed operations are only available to those who own the tanks by purchasing them. So you need to have all the tanks, you need to have purchased them, and then you can participate in that operation. If you earn one of the tanks on your own without purchasing it, you won't be able to do that second chain of missions. So the missions have started. They started on October 10th, and they will run to the 28th. And the first operation is live right now. These work just like all the other ones. They are time gated. So Operation 1 requires 25 points. And upon completion, if you complete it early, you won't be able to start Operation 2 until it starts, which is in 4 days from the beginning of the operation, which is October 14th. That requires 30 points. Then 3 days later, Operation 3 unlocks. You need 35 points. 4 days later, Operation 4 unlocks. You need 45 points. And then finally, on October 24th, you'll have about 3 days to complete the last operation in the chain. You need 55 points. So that is the big hurdle. 55 points within that 3-day period, and then you will get the tank that you're aiming for, whether it be the Revenant Hunter, the Revenant, the Lykan, or the Kaiju. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at what those tanks are, and we'll give a little bit of an overview to see if we can provide some information that will help you make the decision on which tank is right for you. So the first of the 3 tanks that we have here is the Lykan T71. This is an American light tank, tier 7 premium, and it is basically a version of the T71 that is available in the tech tree. It's a light tank, so it's fast, it has almost no armor, and it does have an autoloader. So you can see here that it has 840 hit points. The engine power, 400 horsepower, is pretty low, but the weight of the tank is pretty low as well. So it does zip around the battlefield 64.5 kilometers per hour, and it gets up to that speed pretty quickly. You can see both the turret and track traverse are good. Everything mobility-wise about this tank is going to be really, really good. Everything defense-wise in terms of the armor, you can see there is really, really bad. Maxing out at around 25 millimeters of frontal hull armor. If you get hit in this thing, it's going to penetrate. The gun, it's a 76 millimeter auto loader. I'm not sure if it has 5 or 6 rounds. I think it has 6. It's a low alpha, decent penetration gun. I believe this thing fires APCR as standard. At least I think the tech tree version does, and I would believe this one does as well. But you can see the penetration values there and the rate of fire. Again, you'll get your clip out pretty quickly, and then you'll have a fairly decent reload for the entire clip. So this will be a nice bursty tank. This is one where you want to scout early, you want to save your hit points, you don't want to take a hit, and then at the end of the battle, you want to either break through the lines and go arty hunting, or you want to find a slower tank that's isolated in the open that you can make a rush at and then kind of circle of death while you pump your clip in. And if that doesn't finish them, you'll need to play a little ring around the rosy while you reload. But you can see this does have light tank matchmaking. It can see tier 10 matches, and you can also see the silver and XP bonus, 20% in terms of a silver bonus and 25% in terms of an XP bonus. So couple of factors. If you want an American premium tank, well, then this is the one you want. If you want a light premium tank, this is the one you want. In terms of fun factor, I think this will have a fun factor if you like to be mobile, if you like to scoot around the battlefield, clean up at the end of the battle, then here you go. But if you like to brawl, if you like to take hits, if you like to use your armor, then you might want to check out one of the other 2 tanks. If you're looking for more of a medium tank, then the second option is Revenant Panther. This is, I think it's based off of something that happens in the WOT comic strip that's been recently released. And this is basically a Panther. You can see it's a tier 7 German premium medium tank. And I'll say this, in terms of the aesthetics, this is a really, really cool looking tank. It has a very, undead zombie-ish feel to it. 1200 hit points. You can see the engine power 700. Again, a Panther is a fairly mobile tank, not as mobile as the T71. I believe the engine that this Panther is equipped with is not the top engine, so it will be a little more sluggish than you're used to if you've played through the Tech Tree Panther. That's a tank that I did play through. I enjoyed a lot. It's more of a sniper. Its gun is very accurate. It fires very quickly, but it has extremely low alpha damage. So this is a tank that you want to be behind the main lines. You want to be shooting at tanks that are spotted by the frontline guys, and you just want to pump out that damage. You don't want to trade shots because your shot, I think 135 is the average alpha damage, is not going to trade well with a lot of things that you see. So you want to take your shots, shoot at the sides of things that you can that aren't seeing you or aren't shooting back at you. You do have some armor. You can see the turret has 100 on the front. It's pretty well angled on the sides of the turret and the hull. It's decent as well. Again, large penetration, high caliber rounds are going to go through, but you can bounce, unlike the T71 where you can pretty much forget about it. If you're angled just right, if you take a hit from certain guns, you can certainly bounce in a Panther. So there are the statistics. This does only see up to tier 9 as opposed to the T71. So no tier 10s when you're in this tank, which is nice. And you can see the bonus is a 56% silver bonus, so much, much higher than the T71 Lykan. And the XP bonus is 20%. So if you're a medium tank player, if you're looking for a German premium, if you're a fan of the comic book, those are all things that might play into this tank. Hopefully that will fit your play style, and if it does, then this is the tank for you. If not, if neither of the first two have been to your liking, we've got one left. And here it is. It doesn't even fit on the screen. Look at the size of that monstrosity. It is the Kaiju O-I. This tank is larger than life. It is a Japanese heavy tank, tier 6, so it is a tier lower than the other options being offered. Boy, it's just a massive, massive load here. 150 tons is the weight of this thing. 950 hit points, so it does have less hit points than the Panther, but it is a tier lower. Mobility, so 1200 horsepower engine is pretty good, and from what I've heard, it's got a slow top speed of 30 kilometers per hour. But for a heavy tank and one that weighs 150 tons, that's not terrible. And I believe it gets up to that speed fairly well. From reports that I've seen of the tank, it can reach that top speed. That's not a fictional kind of theoretical value. If you're on flat terrain or if you're on a paved surface, or as long as it's not marshy, swampy kind of terrain, you can probably get up to that 30 kilometers per hour. The traverse turret and hull is very slow. That, of course, is going to be a weakness of the tank. In terms of the armor, this is your armored beast. Remember, you're at tier 6, and you have 150 millimeters of armor on the front of the hull and the turret. The sides and the rear of the turret are also 150. So this thing is going to be bouncing shots. I don't think there's a lot of weak points on the front. Certainly a couple of slabs of that armor that are less angled than others, but if they're 150, even with a little bit of angling, you have to shoot up at this thing. It's so tall. It's going to be tough, a tough nut to crack. In terms of the armament, this thing comes equipped with a 105 millimeter gun, again at tier 6. That is going to be punishing for people. It carries 100 pieces of ammo, so it will not be running out of ammo. The alpha damage there is 300 per shot, so that is going to be brutal. It fires 5 rounds a minute, so that's not terrible for a 105 millimeter gun down at tier 6. The penetration is really high. It looks like 170-ish, 175 maybe. So that's going to get you where you're trying to go through most of the tanks that you're going to see. It only sees up to tier 8 in terms of the matchmaking, so that's good. The problem with this is going to be if you're in a tier 8 game, your 150 millimeters of armor are not really going to count for much anymore. So those games might be painful, where the Lykan and the Panther can rely on their mobility to get out of a bad situation. If you pick the wrong flank and you're up against tanks that are much more powerful than you in this thing, you're just going to have to take it because you're not going to have the option of really retreating and getting out of there. And in terms of the silver and XP bonus, this one kind of splits the baby a little bit. It's 30% on both the silver and XP. So I think it's higher than one of the tanks in silver and higher than one in XP and lower in the other for both. So this is kind of your middle ground in terms of that. The biggest thing about this tank, this is the one that I'm going to go for, and I think I'll put up on the screen now a kind of comparison of all three tanks and their numbers, their tier, classification, country, hit points, armament, rate of fire, those kind of things. So you have all of that in front of you at once, so you can kind of think about the decision that you're going to make. For me, I think it's going to be the Kaiju, and the biggest factor in that decision for me is nation. I have a lot of American premium tanks. I have a lot of German premium tanks. I don't have any Japanese premium tanks. There have been a couple that are out there, the Chinukai, I believe, and maybe the STA2, and I think that's it. So if you're like me and you don't have a premium Japanese tank and you're looking for a crew trainer, then this right now is the one that's available that I think I'm going to take. Also, I'm not a heavy tank driver. If I was picking based on fun, I would probably pick the Lykan. But like I said, I've played through the T71 up to the T57 heavy, so I don't really find a need for that tank anymore. And this does look like it could lead to some pretty funny games. The fact that if you're top tier, you're going to brutalize people with your armor, with that big gun. You could really put a hurt on some people. And oh my gosh, if you get rolling downhill and ram someone in this thing, say goodnight. So I'm going to go for the Kaiju. And once I have it, I will do a complete review on the tank, showing off its armor profile and hopefully some good games in it as well. But hopefully this will help you out there make the decision based on your needs. Do you need something for a certain nation? Do you need something for a certain play style? Are you looking to just maximize your silver intake? All those factors can be configured out here, and hopefully the information I'm providing will help you make a decision. So for the final part of the review, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about how to accomplish the operations here. Remember, the key is kills. Nothing else matters in terms of completing the operation. So even if you're getting steamrolled, all you need is one kill, and you can count that mission as a success. It'll get you 1 point towards your goal. So if you're winning, prioritize a tank on low health, or make a run at the artillery, right? Maybe there's a pack of 5 of you at the end of the game. You're going for some cleanup, and everybody's closing in on the heavy tank that's left, but there's still an artillery left. Well, if everyone's going for the heavy, let's go for the heavy. You go for the artillery. Go for the guy that everyone else isn't going for, so maybe you can get that kill. If you're losing, stand your ground. Don't give up. Don't self-drown in the rivers or the lakes or whatever. Try to find one tank. They're going to be bold. Remember, the other team is trying to do the same thing you are. So if you're the last 1 or 2 tanks left, all the guys in the other team are going to be salivating. They're like, I need that kill. They're going to come rushing in. So use your hit points. Use that opportunity to find one that's weak. Use their aggression against them. Get yourself a kill and make that game count for you. So I have on the screen now a chart that kind of lays out, based on your average number of kills per battle, what you can expect the mission to take in terms of completing the entire operation, so getting 190 points. Then I'll also have it broken down to what you just need to complete the 5th chain in the operation, so what you'll need to do just over that last 3-day period, because that will be the biggest time crunch. And then I'll also have that worked out in terms of, instead of games, number of games it'll take, I'll have amount of time it'll take, and I'll base that on the average kind of game length that I'm seeing at the time. I think it's around 6 minutes. It's closer to 5 if you're low tier. It's closer to 7 or 8 if you're high tier. But 6 to 7 minutes seems to be about the average game time for me. If the battle goes the distance to you're one of the last tanks left without being destroyed. So the math is pretty easy on this one, right? If you average 1 kill per game, then you know you're going to get about 1 kill a game. You'll get about 1 point a game. And so your number of games to get the 190 points will be 190 games. But in reality, it's not quite going to work that way because some of those games you're going to get 2 kills. That's still only going to get you 1 point. Some of those games are going to get you 0 kills. So you'll get 0 points. Also, keep in mind that your statistics that you can access through the garage, you can see your career kill death average. That's for all your tanks. That's for your entire career. You've played some bad tanks. You've played early in your career when you weren't as good as you are now. You get to pick the tank you use. There's no restriction on tank type or tank nation. The only restriction is tier 3 to tier 10. So pick your best tanks. Pick the one that you have the most success getting kills with, and your kill death ratio in that tank is going to be much higher than your average career kill death ratio is. So if your kill death is 0.5, that's going to seem daunting because you're going to need on average 2 games to get a single point, and that can be pretty brutal looking at those numbers. But if you have one tank where you're really good and you get 1 kill a game in that tank, then you're gonna cut in half the number of games that you need to play. So daily doubles, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is kills. Use the best tank that you have to accomplish that job. So I think that's going to wrap things up for now. As the mission progresses, there is some tease of a Halloween event. Remember, we had the Spectre tanks last year for Halloween, and that special game mode. Wargaming has said that the monsters that you unlock will be usable in this special event mode. So I don't know exactly how they're going to make that happen. I think they said they'll have hidden powers that will unlock the picture in the banner for the mission seems to have one of them shooting a flamethrower out of its cannon rather than shells. So looking forward to that. I will definitely put a video together to cover it when that comes up, but I think that'll be closer to the end of the month, right around the Halloween weekend. So for now, good luck trying to get yourself your tank, the monster of your choice. I hope that I've been able to provide a little bit of insight on how the mission is going to work, some tips for how to do it, and maybe point you towards the tank that will suit you best in your play style. So hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please feel free to like and favorite the video. I truly do appreciate it. And as always, you can subscribe to Meat City Gaming for future content. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.